Are you anxious, stressed, mind racing? Do you have trouble sleeping? Are you looking for healthy ways to cope? Join Spiwe Jefferson, certified mindfulness practitioner and lawyer, and learn to apply mindfulness meditation to the challenges of everyday life. Harness the power of mindfulness meditation to live and work to your highest and best purpose, starting with just 5 minutes a day.
That's really awesome. I've had an opportunity to experience the book, and I've been using it in my own practice. And I do find the use of characters to be very engaging because the human experience, while we have different variations, obviously, we all go through things. So it helps to actually experience the mindfulness meditation, the mindfulness five difference, in fact, um, by drawing on the experiences of others as they relate to my own. So I found that to be really useful. So ideally, in light of the use of characters in the book, how should one use that book within their daily meditation practice? What was your intention there?
So there is an instruction at the beginning of the book for how to use it, right? But I'll share with you how I use it, and maybe this will help you as you think about what you can do with it. So the stories of the characters are they progress through the book. And so if you don't want spoilers, and also to kind of get a sense for what they're doing, my suggestion is you want to read the book front to back to just get acclimated. That's my suggestion. There are 3 seasons that are articulated in the book: dark, dawn, and day. And you watch these characters progress through each of those seasons. Now you can pick, because, and dark, dawn, and day are intentional because they're seasons that actually have been scientifically proven. They're not called that, but they're seasons that many of us go through. And so this is the zone, these are the 3 zones that they are based off of. And this was actually a graphic that was developed by a psychologist years ago. And it basically tries to show the 3 ways that people go through life psychologically. So in the blue area, that's the comfort zone. That is the season that we call day in the book. That is when life is good. For those of you who have kids who had to watch Finding Nemo 500 times, that's when the sun is shining, the tank is clean, all is well with the world, and you're just doing your thing. And then dawn is the yellow zone. And the yellow zone is actually a pretty good zone because it's also the area where you get to learn. You get to learn how to do things. And then the red zone is the panic zone. That's when bad things happen. And speaking of bad things happening, I'm going to momentarily turn off my camera here because I thought that I had my laptop plugged in to a power source, and it's telling me that didn't actually work. So I'm going to have to make some changes here. So bear with me, but I'm going to keep talking. But that is the idea that we are going through. So my suggestion to you is you might want to pick a time, just pick a season that works for you, and just go with that season and find a chapter that represents that season and just read through that time. So for example, this morning, I woke up and I thought, okay, so this is a big day. This is book launch. Oh, look, I got my power cord working. This is a big day. It's the book launch. So what is going to help me in my 5-minute meditation this morning? So what I did was I opened my book. I looked at the table of contents. There is a chapter called You Can Do This. It's in the season of dawn. And I thought, oh, I could use that kind of encouragement. What does that chapter say? And part of the reason I use the book, to tell you the truth, is because it's one thing to visualize what you think the book is going to say. It's another thing entirely to actually use it and for it to actually work in the way that's intended. So, and the chapters are all short. Every single chapter is no longer than 2 to 3 pages, and it's big writing, so it's easy to get through. So here's what I read this morning in my meditation time. So this is the You Can Do This chapter. It's chapter 14 of the Dawn section. And one of the things that I got as feedback when I wrote the book was, in order for people to be able to find their way through it, it would be really helpful to have markers throughout the book so that no matter what page I opened it to, I could tell what season I was in. So there are graphics. Let's see if you can see them. There are graphics like that on every page so you can tell what season you're in. So this is Dawn, and this is the You Can Do This chapter. I don't know how long I can do this, Sinky. I feel like I'm failing at everything. The kids don't behave. The house is always a mess. Jopi is always gone. And my best friend is a parrot, literally. Singita basked in the sun on her patio. Samina was her closest sibling. While she felt her despair, Singita was not discouraged by it. She adjusted her giant multicolored floppy hat to better shield her smooth honey-toned face from the sun. Your best friend isn't a parrot, she's your sister. The kids are wonderful, and your idea of a messy house is a cushion that's not propped the right way, she said. Samina tried to smile. Singita told her about her own journey through her dark season, the peace she finally made with her appa, that's her dad, and how mindfulness brought her through. She even confided about her law school application. You are not alone, Samina. You can do this. And every chapter has a takeaway. So this is the takeaway. No matter where you are in life, your self-perception is often different from how others see you. Samina is successfully raising 2 wonderful children and holding down the fort, but all she sees is failure. No matter where you are, strive to move forward, but be kind to yourself. And like Singita, no matter what season you are in, you will be surrounded by friends and family in different seasons. Don't sprint alone. Take time to share your own journey with those you trust. If you take time to replenish yourself with the tools of self-care you have found effective, you can give away your love daily and you will never run dry. Pay attention to those around you who need help. Sometimes the circumstances we find ourselves in are just a path to love those we find there. And then every chapter has journal reflections. So there's a section called My Journal Reflections, and it reads, spend at least 5 minutes in silent meditation first thing each morning for at least 5 days this week. Use a simple mantra like, I've got this, to encourage yourself in your endeavors. And then for the next 5 days, it has something that I can think about and meditate on during my 5-minute meditation. So today, day 1 was take 5 minutes to identify the aspects of your life you consider most challenging. Don't judge and don't get emotionally distraught, just examine them. And then day 2, if I put myself in the shoes of someone I know who loves me and see myself addressing my challenges from their vantage point, they would say this to encourage me because we are our own worst judges, as we talked about earlier. And so these are just examples of the 5-minute meditations. And so what I chose to meditate on, you can choose to meditate on one of the topics, or you can just pick whatever's most relevant. So what was most relevant to me after I read that this morning was, I'm going into the space where I want to share with all of you my truth and why I wrote this book and why I'm hoping that it can help you and how I'm hoping that it can help you. So I just visualized myself going through the process. Oh, Cindy, is that the book? I visualized myself going through the process and just having these conversations with all of you, bringing my best self to the conversation. So that was my, and somebody said it earlier when we did the meditation, I could have gone longer. Yeah. I started with 5 minutes when I was getting going, but my average meditation time now is probably about half an hour. And so just take the time that it takes you to get through thinking about what you're thinking about. Some of these chapters are really hard, I'm going to warn you. And many of them were ones that I have either gone through myself or that I know people who have gone through. And some of them, especially in the dark season, are really difficult. So even though the ideas start with just 5 minutes, don't beat yourself up, because I can promise you some of the stuff is going to take more than 5 minutes. For example, there's a chapter on practicing forgiveness. People who have wronged you, people you're mad about, and you sit there and you try to forgive. I confess, there are some of these chapters that took me years to feel like I actually mastered. And then there's some things like confronting anxiety, replacing anxiety with something else, practicing self-love. You might read about it, and it's a short read, but to actually get to the point where you feel like you're doing it consistently may take years. And you might feel like, okay, today is a good day, I got this. And then tomorrow you're back in that ugly space where you're unforgiving, and when you're angry, and when you're bitter, and you have to come back to it. So even though the idea is it gives you enough content for a year's worth of 5-day, 5-minute meditations, you might find one chapter, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and spend a year just on those 2. So just give yourself permission to be flexible and go with not so much the order of the book once you kind of get the sense of the character, but really choose your own adventure each day and take from it what you really need.
Wow, that's really great. So I think the takeaways from what you're saying is that everyone's mindfulness practice, it looks different. It's about our journey, and how we use the book will be a reflection of that.
Thank you for listening to Mindful in 5. If you enjoyed it, follow and rate it on your favorite podcast platform or on trustpilot.com. Get your copy of the book Mindful in 5 from Amazon.com or mindfulin5.com today. Visit mindfulin5.com to download sample chapters of the book, watch videos, connect with the Mindful in 5 community on social media, and more. Until next time, be mindful and be well.